Good morning and welcome, bienvenue, to the Municipal Council meeting today for the municipality of the County of Annapolis. I have an announcement, and it's in regard of the fire alarms, fire drills, fire period, that we are to remain calm, leave the building, and go out the doors of council, through the hall, down to the front desk, and out to the front doors, and meet up to the back of the parking lot, which is the muster point where we would have a head count. So that is the instructions for council as well as any visitors that are here with us today. Thank you. Also, don't forget to put your phones off so that we don't have any interruption during our council meeting. And other than that, we'll get started. Have a great day. We'll start with roll call. District 1.
District 1, Carrie Ann Parsons Salzman.
District 2, Jesse Hare.
District 3 is Deputy Warden Enslow, and he's asked to be excused. So at this moment, I'm going to ask if we have unanimous consent for him to be excused. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. District 4.
District 4, Charles Creighton.
District 5, Lynn Longmire.
District 6, John Welch.
District 7, Ted Agenbar.
District 8, Niall Harding.
District 9, Gidget Oxter.
District 10, Brian Fuzzy-Connell.
District 11, Diane LeBlanc. Thank you. Do we have any disclosure of interest for today? Seeing none, we'll move on. Just before we go to the approval of the agenda, I have received, the county council has received a thank you note from Alicia Spicer, and I think it's a great time to read her little note to us. Dear County of Annapolis, I am writing to express my heartfelt gratitude for your generous support through the Bridgetown Regional, BRCS Pre-Calculus 12 Award. Bridgetown Regional
Community.
Consolidated School Staff Prize, as well as the Mini Vent Scholarship. Your support has a significant impact on pursuing my academic goals. Thanks for your support. I am attending Acadia University for Biology and Environmental Sciences, where I can focus on learning and less on my finances. With sincere appreciation, Alicia Spicer. So that is for council.
Lovely.
Thank you very much, Alicia. I'll put it on yours. Okay, let's have the approval of the order of the day. Are there any changes, additions, so forth? Okay, we'll move on. Approval of the day is done, and we will start with the regular council minutes. The first council minutes are from June 17th, 2025. Are there any errors, omissions for these minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. The next set of minutes are on page 13, which is the special session of Municipal Council on June 23rd. Are there any corrections, omissions to these minutes? Seeing none, those minutes are also approved. The third set of minutes is the special session that was held on Tuesday, July the 8th. Do we have any corrections, omissions for those minutes? Seeing none, those also are approved. So we'll move on to page 17, which are the Committee of the Whole recommendations. I need a volunteer to read 5.1 recommendation. Councillor Harding.
I move to proceed with the proposed ecological harvest and associated access improvements pursuant to the recommendation of Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Welsh. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. 5.2. Councillor Welsh.
I move to approve policy 106, municipal traffic authority, 7-day notice given on July 8th, 2025.
Thank you very much. Seconder, Councillor Parsons Salzman. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. 5.3. Councillor Parsons Salzman.
I move to give first reading to approve bylaw 10 livestock in accordance with recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Cranton. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. 5.4. Councillor Welsh.
I move to authorize an agreement for the County of Annapolis to provide extended bylaw enforcement services to the town of Middleton starting no later than September 1st, 2025 and ending March 31st, 2030 pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Agenbar. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. 5.5. Councillor Parsons Salzman.
I move to approve policy 113, public participation, 7-day notice given on July 8th, 2025.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Harding. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Okay, motion passed. 5.6. Councillor Oxner.
I move to forward a letter to the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, NSFM, expressing concern about road safety in Annapolis County resulting from insufficient funding allocated to the Department of Public Works and echoing concerns expressed by other area municipalities in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Longmire. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Okay. Let's move on to new business, page 22. This is an information report that was put together by Angela Anderson, which is our CPA Director of Finance. She will come up here and give us a brief overview of our standings. Thank you, Madame Anderson.
Thank you. All right, so annually we submit a financial information return to the province, and this is kind of what comes out of it. So they take a lot of our financial data and they try and essentially give us some comparators or some benchmarking across municipalities, setting some financial health thresholds. So this one's actually for 22-23. We are a little bit behind. We're working on the audit for 24-25 right now, and they're working on our report for 23-24. So this was right after the internet sale, just to kind of give you a timeline of when these occurred. So on page 50 of the report, I'll kind of take you through that page. It coincides with the chart that I've prepared as well in the report. So it gives you a 2-year comparison. So it just shows the changes over the prior year of our financial indicators. We're moving in a good direction, and overall we're a very low financial risk, which is great. So I'll just go down each one and kind of say what it means and what it predicts. So the reliance on a single business or institution, we're very low risk. Our largest institution is only about 2.2% of our uniform assessment. So that's a good thing. That would be if we relied on, say, a bit large commercial property and they moved out of the county and we lost their assessment. That would be a high risk for us in terms of our revenues. So we're very low risk here. We don't have a high reliance on one single business. The 3-year change in tax base here shows us at moderate risk. This is out of our control. This comes from the assessed values of our properties. But basically, the 3-year change in the consumer price index, or the cost of living increase, was 13.3%, and our assessment rose by about 8.4%. So that's why it's showing us in moderate risk, just because the cost of living increased greater than our assessment over the identified 3-year period there. So the suggestion is just that, the cost of providing services increased more than the revenues that we would technically generate. The residential tax effort is supposed to demonstrate the affordability of taxes. So it is based on median income. So there are some flaws to that. There's a lot of people living under the median income as well. But this indicates we do have a little bit of flexibility if we did want to raise taxes in terms of affordability. Of course, this is a financial metric. There's a lot of qualitative metrics that go along with that as well. And then going down to our uncollected taxes, we're about 5%. I think we might increase slightly in the coming year to maybe 6%, but under 10% is low risk, so that's deemed reasonable collections. Our operating reserve, we're growing pretty substantially on that one. We're at about 36% of own source revenues. So own source revenues are important in these financial metrics because that is what the municipality can control. That doesn't include anything that we get from the government, like government transfers from other levels. These are items like our taxes, our area rates, sewer rates, stuff that we can set and have control over. The debt servicing ratio, we've talked a little bit about this lately. Anything under 10% considered pretty low risk. We're at 2.1%, and we are slowly paying it all off. We will take on some more, so I think we'll stay probably around this, at least for the near future. And again, that is the percentage of debt servicing costs annually, so that's the principal and interest that we pay, as a percentage of our own source operating revenues. So our ability to cover those debt servicing costs by influencing our own source revenues. So that overall, we have room there should we need to respond to any financial requirements there. Outstanding operating debt, it's 0 here. That is great. That just means we're no longer in overdraft. So 22-23 was our first year not in overdraft, and we have not been in overdraft in our operating fund since. So that is a positive change. Undepreciated assets. So you want to be over 50% of your assets are not fully depreciated. So a fully depreciated asset means your asset is beyond its useful life. Your failure is a lot more likely. So 59.9 is pretty good. I anticipate this going up just as we start renewing our infrastructure. Over the past couple of years, we've done some larger projects, and we'll have some new assets coming in with Bear River water and different things like that. And we've also had a lot of assets that sat fully amortized on the books that have been disposed of in 24-25. So that should change our ratio there, and I would expect that this 59% would be more attractive as it increases over time. Reliance on government transfers. So this is how much does our budget rely on other sources of income outside of our control. Obviously, the lower the better, so that if the province decides they don't want to give it to us, we're going to be okay. So we're at 5.4%, pretty low risk there. That is really good news. The number of deficits in the past 5 years, we've eliminated one, now we've got one remaining. This is an avoidable one, just by monitoring, and if we anticipate we're going to be in a deficit, we can use the operating reserve to cover it, that kind of strategy there. So in 24-25 this will fall off. It's from the operating year 2019-2020. And then liquidity. This is an important one. This is kind of used across the industry for accounting ratios. Anything over 1.5 is low. So it is the ability for our financial assets, so easily liquid assets, to cover all of our financial liabilities. So that would be our short-term debts, our accounts payable, interfund transfers, all those kind of items. We're at 1.2. I think this is reflective of, we had a line of credit. We also had some interfund transactions that we hadn't cleared for a number of years in 22, 23, as well as we also had a high AP because we were dealing with internet sales. So we had some HST items and some higher HST with those. So I anticipate this one should get better over time, especially once we paid off our line of credit. It should look a lot more attractive once that report comes out as well. And then our combined reserves. So we've been placing money in reserves. This does give the illusion that we have adequate reserves, and we've improved substantially. However, we have a lot of capital projects coming up, so I anticipate seeing this one kind of fluctuate. This includes our sewer reserves, our fire capital, all of that kind of stuff, and as we use those and come up with a reserve replacement strategy, that's kind of how we manage that line there. But overall, we are moving forward. We are becoming more financially healthy. We have no red marks on this one, which indicates high risk. And we've managed almost all of the ones that we can manage ourselves at this point and into low risk. So that's been a great job.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Madam Anderson. Okay, we'll start with Councillor Longmire. Next will be Councillor Agenbar and Councillor Cranton. And we'll start.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Anderson. Sorry, Bo Baker. So under the roof, the number of deficits in the last 5 years, and you said that it was something from 2020, just so I have an understanding of what that was, and it is suggested that it will fall off in 2024, 2025?
Yes, so they just report the last 5 years. So once
Right.
we hit that 5-year mark, that deficit will fall off of this report.
Okay.
And we don't anticipate having deficits going forward.
And so is it any particular something that we can report on, or can I ask that question?
Yeah. Well, variance reports are the big one. So as we start bringing variance reports, which we do have a schedule starting in September to start bringing variance reports forward, you'll see there, and that's what we would monitor and manage in terms of, if we're going to see an expense go over, then we're going to come and ask for funding prior, and then you don't end up in a deficit position.
Excellent. Thank you.
Could I add?
Okay.
You're probably also looking for the reason for the deficit in that year?
Yes.
And it's legal costs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you. The variance that followed was
Yeah.
a great explanation. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Next, Councillor Agenbar.
Thank you. I'm just curious, my question is on page 42 of 89, under consolidated expenses, and it's, I'm just wondering what makes up the public health services expense? What does the county contribute to public health that costs $107,000?
That was Nova Scotia Housing. It was our share of the deficit at the time for Nova Scotia Housing. We no longer are responsible for that going forward, so you won't see that going forward, but that was what that was for.
Thank you. I just needed an explanation.
Yep.
Okay, next, Councillor Cranton.
Just a couple observations. So first, thank you very much for your overview. And I guess some of the things that stood out on page 50. Glad to see your explanation on reliance of single business or institutions holding at 2.2, and that's relatively low. So that definitely, for me, was glad to hear. And her explanation around, there's a lot of businesses, but we're not at risk of one moving out of town or the area and crippling us. We do see that sometimes in neighboring municipalities, so that's nice to hear. And also appreciated the explanation on reliance of government transfers down from 9.7% down to 5.4%. So again, it's a safety. We are self-sufficient and things like that. So those were two that stood out for me because they indicate, as Angela had, that we're certainly moving in a financially healthy direction. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from anyone? I guess not. You have explained that quite well. Thank you very much. Thank you for
Well
the
done.
report, madam. Okay. Let's move on to our next one, which is on page 64, item on the bylaw 7, which is for dogs. I need okay, Councillor Paulson Salzman.
I move to give final reading to approve bylaw 7, dogs. First reading having been given on June 17, 2020.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Longmire. Any comments or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Okay, let's move on to the next, which is on page 71. No, okay. Page 71. I need a mover for the motion. Councillor Welch.
I move to give final reading to approve bylaw 8 noise, first reading having been given on June 17th, 2025.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Councillor Hare. Now we have discussion. Councillor Hare.
All right. So, this past month, I've been talking to a lot of folks that this bylaw applies to, and more specifically how they feel about this change and its possible effects on their lives and operations. And I like to go into detail about it, so I'm going to start with a motion. I move to remove the word reasonable.
So you're amending?
Yep, move to make an amendment to remove the word reasonable
Which is
from
where?
section 12
Thank you.
on page 74.
Point of order,
Oh, yes?
if I may.
Councillor, what is your point of order?
We should be discussing this.
Can we
Yeah,
have
we haven't had a discussion.
before we do
Yeah.
adjournment?
Okay, so
Let's jump into it.
I do agree. Why don't we discuss?
I don't have to make it now, but I always
Yeah, let's-
thought a motion should be on the floor first.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, and at the end, if you wish,
Yeah, I don't have
after the
to.
discussion,
Sure.
you definitely can put the amendment, if that goes,
Sure,
you agree with that?
easy enough.
Okay, so let's go through the discussion.
The concerns is around the wording reasonable in section 12.
Okay,
And I know this may initially sound unreasonable, but what may seem like a positive change that could grant us more control, I full-heartedly believe this will cause more grief to those who work the hardest in their county. I spoke with those mainly in the agricultural and forestry sector, as well as some in the construction, and asked them what they thought of it and how it would affect them. A big concern that they have is with the uncertainty. It gave them no comfort. While this may seem minor, it's huge for these guys, especially with this change is not proposed due to a reoccurring issue. These guys deal with so much and struggle with so much. My conversations usually end up being hours with them, just listening to how there's so much uncertainty if they're going to make ends meet, if crop prices are going to be enough, problems with other layers of government, employment issues, mechanical issues. I thought it was hard enough running my own business, but I could not be a farmer. My point is, these guys already have so much heartache and stress to deal with. You do not want to add to their plates. First thing in the morning, is this operation reasonable? It puts a knot in their stomach, and I don't want to do this without good reason. Maybe it's simply not enough that these folks have to carry this burden, so I bring quantifiable arguments. Talking to one farmer, he can't spray over 25 degrees Celsius. The form of spraying he does is more prone to evaporation, but is a safer, more directable application that, from my understanding, results in less overspray. He said he could see himself reliably out before 90 days of the year. Though I'm sure that many would consider his tractor running early morning to be reasonable, as the wording would say, he doesn't feel he can rely on this undefined word and is unsure if he wants to risk trouble. Like say, a lot of these guys already have a lot on their mind. I can see this resulting in farmers preemptively reducing some operations just because the headache is not worth it. Or differently yet, as he kind of explained to me, using other methods to farm that may not be as ideal, efficient, or safe, just to avoid potential headache. They already have a lot of headache. And if we want to talk about safety, a huge one is farming, forestry, sorry. A very quantifiable thing. I've had letters from many constituents, but I believe the one that describes the full picture best for forestry is the one I've handed out before you. Sure, again, operating before 7 to avoid heat could be argued reasonable, but I know the guys in the woods. The ones, the many that have mountains of mechanical issues, financial issues, and other heartache are not going to want another heartache and would rather risk it in the heat. Larger foresters that employ many in all districts have directly told me that if this goes through, they will end up cutting hours and possibly cutting employment. A larger issue that transcends all sides of foresters is the risk of fire, which is considerably less in these off hours. Though it may be considered argued reasonable, they have told me they feel the risk of trouble from the county would drive them to the hotter hours. From my understanding, this isn't a change brought on by recurring issues, but rather to grant us more control in the event of. I'm a great believer of if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Sure, we have the greatest intentions of this, but before there is even a circumstance for this to apply to, it's going to hurt hard working in our county.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments from Councillor Cranton?
Yeah, so
Councillor Oxner.
I heard from a few farmers in my district last night and this morning who echoed similar concerns what Councillor Hare said, and specifically, in my case, it was from agriculture, so I didn't hear anything from the forestry, but I imagine similar. And specifically, it was around section 12G and the word reasonable. Not to repeat a lot of it, but just basically, there's a saying, you gotta make hay when the sun shines. And it's not just a saying, it's a way of life, farming. So that means being up before 7 a.m. when the weather's there, or before 9 a.m. on a Sunday or a holiday. He used the example that, yes, a lot of businesses take breaks, but he had the farm on Canada Day because the weather dictated it to be such. So I somewhat appreciate the word of reasonable, because I felt in the discussion it was all about giving the leeway for that, but I did feel the need to bring up that feedback I got from folks in the agriculture industry is they are concerned about this. Easiest way to say it is that our definition of the word reasonable could potentially not be the same as their definition of the word reasonable. So they have, some of them are members of the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture. There is Department of Agriculture guidelines that they stand by, and they're just worried about municipal bylaw officers being like another level of regulation that they have to adhere to. One gentleman said to me, every time he has to leave the farm or stop the farm, he's losing money. So yes, a bylaw officer, may respond to a complaint, and in the end, they may ultimately determine, yes, this was reasonable, so there's no fine or violation, but he's worried about the amount of time and effort that was spent investigating the complaint that maybe should have just been considered a non-factor to begin with. So again, I myself support the word reasonable, because I felt that was put in there to give discretion to that, but I do feel the obligation to bring up that there is a lot of concerns from the agriculture side of it on that word reasonable. So we really need to make sure, if we move ahead with this, that those enforcing it really just understand the requirements of the agriculture and the forest industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Oxner.
I received some calls about this as well, and it's around the word reasonable. And, you know, it was explained to me, there's sometimes early morning spraying in the agricultural sector. They might be wrapping round bales at 11 o'clock at night. That was the concern. They felt reasonable was too vague. I think it's a great word. I think it's an education process that will come from us and the staff here. I don't see, and Dawn, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see any times on here. You know, we're not restricting people to certain times of day. So I think it's an education on our side. And I explained that, you know, these matters are complaint driven. So if there are no complaints, there's no reason to worry. So Dawn, how many complaints have we had for noise relating to farming in the last few years?
Go ahead.
Over the last 2 years,
Yeah.
we have had no agriculture. We have had, I believe, one complaint about forestry activities, which was under a provincial permit and therefore outside our jurisdiction. We have had, I believe, one complaint about a reefer truck operating overnight. They were transporting seafood products, and they must keep the reefer going. So it was just a matter of going to the truck owner and asking if they could move the truck to a different part of the property so that it wasn't adjacent to their neighbor's bedroom window, and that resolved the issue. And in the past 2 years, I think my memory's sound. How much we've done.
Yeah, so I think this has been blown up into something that it doesn't need to be. If there are, you know, new residents moving in, it's up to them to research the area where they're moving, whether it's farmland, there's forestry nearby, and whatnot. So I think our farmers and our forestry people can rest easy that they will be looked after. Our bylaw enforcement officers, I know, will be educated on what are normal operations of these businesses. And what's the norm? You know, a farm or a forestry is not going to operate between 9 and 5. So I think the education piece is big. I think the word reasonable is quite acceptable.
Thank you, Councillor. Next, I have Councillor Connell.
I'm going to support the word reasonable on a bunch of different issues. Is that it gives us the opportunity to explain to the complainant that it's reasonable. It also gives us the opportunity to talk to industries that aren't being responsible and reasonable. In 21 years of sitting here, I think we dealt with one forestry company in Margassville, and once we pointed out that what they were doing was causing grief in the community, they changed their forestry technique to go to the back end of the property and cut all night, come out in the early morning and cut all day. Didn't stop them. I've never heard of us levying a fine other than we levied a fine on the pits and quarries in Nicktal on a daily thing, and we lost that in the courts because pits and quarries are provincial jurisdiction. We can set our bylaws to them to be reasonable starting up, and I think they came along and worked with us on the hours of operation at the time, but we never, in all the years I've been here, we've never laid a fine on any forestry or farm. We worked with them, and they were reasonable. They took what the citizens' complaint was, and they took what they had to do for an operation, and they put our suggestions of what we came up with as our bylaw officers, and everyone work together and solve the problem. And if we don't have something in there that we can say, you're being unreasonable, how can we fix this? And we're not out to stop anybody. If I was gonna say anything reasonable, come live at my house for a month. I'm 30 feet from the highway. Every time a motorcycle goes by, every time a 18-wheeler goes by at 3 in the morning, I hear it. Is that reasonable? Should I put a complaint in that that guy shouldn't be driving at 3 in the morning? You gotta look at what's reasonable. We have 100 acres behind our property that when the corn gets ready to cut, they cut the 100 acres. They cut all night long. So we hear the tractors going down the road to the grain center, coming back, but it's reasonable. If they're not reasonable, if the county bylaw officer goes out and says, can we discuss this, and can we figure out something that'll work? And they say, no, I have permission to do that, they're being unreasonable. They can apply for an exemption, but I'm sure if any exemption is given to a forestry outfit, there's gonna be provisions in that agreement of exemption that, yeah, we can exempt you from a noise bylaw that you can work 24/7, but here's the conditions. You're not gonna work within so many feet of a house. You're not gonna work out next to the public. You've gotta work at the back end. So, I mean, it allows us to help out the industry and help them going. This is not to hinder the industry. This is good for them. So, I'm okay with the word reasonable.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Oh, yeah, I do have you there, Councilor Longley. I do have you right there.
Thank you. You know, the nature of the work is obvious. We know that with agricultural comes large equipment, lots of noise. But it's, again, it goes back to the definition of reasonable. And I think that that is a word that we use to give discretion to all parties, you know, coming to an understanding of what's actually happening. I have really been pleased to hear that the county hasn't ever issued a fine on such, because we know that their livelihood is at stake. And of course, putting timelines on anyone, you know, even though this doesn't have anything to do with timelines, the word reasonable and the definition of it for the particular work being done makes sense, right? So having that word reasonable, you wouldn't be able to replace it with any other word, right? And I really appreciated the comment that Councillor Oxner said. You know, when people are moving in, and I had several complaints come to me over this bylaw. They said, well, I've just recently moved here and the noise is unreasonable. Again, we need to be mindful that when we're moving into an area that we explore and ask questions around and make sure that you're, you know, understanding the nature of the community that you're moving or you're desiring to move into, because there are different industries and things around us that perhaps you're not quite accustomed to, right? So I think it's the right word. I think the bylaw meets all of the necessary criteria. You know, I could talk about unreasonable and it goes off topic, but we've got dike lands being mended right now, and it has been less than reasonable. That citizens are tolerating it because they know that work needs to be done. You know, it starts early. They've been working on holidays. You know, there's times when we have to accept some and be reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Longmire. Councilor Carson Thompson.
I'd like to say I've had a few concerns brought forward on the word reasonable as well. Did a little researching myself, reached out to a few fellow farmers, and after some discussions, they came, and I see it kind of the same way that's being discussed here now. So I would support the word reasonable staying in the bylaw. It kind of works on both ends for those administering the policy or the bylaw and those out there working.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Cranton, this is your second time, just so you know. And Councillor Hare, I have that here.
Just a question, when, like you mentioned, it was complaint driven, so then I guess we'll speak specifically to this one. What type of discretion does the bylaw officer use? So let's just specifically say they get a noise complaint of a 6 a.m. operation in agriculture. Do they find it, are they able to use the discretion right then to say to the complainant, look, that's a reasonable thing and that's it? Or do they have an obligation to reach out to the operator and investigate it and then determine whether it was reasonable or unreasonable?
Yeah.
Generally, they're going to talk to both parties and weigh the circumstance. You get a fuller picture by talking to both parties. In a lot of cases, they're going to talk to neighbors as well. And the goal here is just to alleviate issues. It's not to lay a fine. So, quite honestly, I don't recall there ever being a fine under this bylaw. And I should have mentioned, we sometimes get complaints about loud noise, and sometimes there's a little friction between neighbors. Generally, not always, generally we're able to work that out in a reasonable manner for everybody. It's usually a matter of just supporting people's respect for one another.
Good word.
Thank you. Okay, so who's next? Councillor Hare. Anyone before Councillor Hare wanted to speak? No? Okay. Councillor Hare.
I have great appreciation from what has been described, what has been my discussions with various staff. I do have, at this current moment in time, complete faith that staff would handle these situations adequately. That being said, we are trying to think ahead. And another thing to do, it does kind of shift, I'm not using the right words, but it just kind of shift paradigm a little bit. And before it was a complete exemption. Now it's kind of an exemption. So one particular person I have spoke to and is coming to mind would be a vineyard farmer in my district, and he might even be one of the largest vineyard farmers in my district, or countywide. And he uses, and I wish I could remember the name, a type of spray for the vineyard that they say it's kind of like a turbine going on, is what it sounds like. It's noisy, and they also use bird cannons. These guys, not just him, but the other guys, are typically working at peak efficiency and safety. They're down to the wire on profits. They don't want to be out in the heat. They're trying to be safe. They're trying to use more environmentally sensitive products. They're working at peak efficiency, and so my concern would be, I don't necessarily want the situation to be where there has to be mediation every time. Can you get where I'm saying? So if these vineyards need to operate and spray, and these farmers need to operate and spray before 7, I wouldn't want a bylaw officer coming to them and saying, well, how about you just do it at a different time? Because they need to do it at that time to avoid the spray from evaporating, or get it on before produce goes bad, or before the birds get it on. So I wouldn't want the situation to be, well, you're not willing to move it all, and then now we have an issue. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Go ahead.
It's hard to address what ifs, and each circumstance is different. In most cases, if there's a complaint, and it all starts with a complaint, we don't go looking for it, of course. it all starts with a complaint, and in 80% of the circumstances, the person being aware that they've bothered somebody just
Is enough.
it makes them think about how they can do things differently. Generally, we don't have to be heavy-handed. It's like, oh, I didn't know I was bothering anybody, this is what I can do. In 80% of the circumstances, that's going to happen. If it's something that is bold-faced, absolutely unreasonable, that's being complained about, it's not going to be investigated. And I can give you an example, not under this bylaw, but under the dog bylaw. If someone called or sent videos of a dog barking for a minute and a half every 3 weeks, that doesn't meet the definition of excessive barking. That's not something the officers are going to go out and spend time on because it just doesn't qualify. Dogs bark, minute and a half, 2 minutes. And when you question the complainant and it's, oh, well, no, every time it happens, I send it to you, and that's the duration of what lasts. No, an officer is not going to be unreasonable and going out talking to the dog owner whose dog barks for 2 minutes every 3 weeks.
And so that discretion applies to the noise bylaw. It definitely does help things. But again, I am thinking towards the future, and we do have in other areas of our planning, opening up more high-density development in areas that surround agriculture and forestry. My particular district has, its forests are all situated amongst some amount of residential. And so as we build up our area, we are going to be more prone to more complaints, just because we haven't had them for the past 20 years. I want to have our bylaw to be strong in protecting our businesses of the future. So if we are looking at building typically more rural areas, and this is a big issue of why I'm critical of raising development high in more rural areas, is because we could potentially see more complaints like this, and if we aren't protecting our operators efficiently enough, like say, they may have to do unfortunate changes to the business practices that could result in less safe operations, more inefficient operations, and so on and so forth. I think it's quite clear to me that it doesn't seem to be a need to propose the amendment, judging by the consensus around the room. But I will ask, it sounds like staff have a great ability to deal with this bylaw, noise bylaw. I would like to, I think it was in here somewhere, is that it was supposed to be up to staff to enforce this and not RCMP. Can we make sure that the RCMP are aware of that? Because I have heard from a particular operator in my district who has said even before it was a total exemption, he said he still had RCMP hassling him about operating before 7.
Would you like to speak to that?
So we have signaled to the RCMP that we want this enforced by staff.
Yeah.
Generally, I would say they're too busy, they don't want to take on anymore. We have the ability not to do a prosecution in court if the RCMP were ever to lay charges, which technically they can do under the authority that's given by the Department of Justice. We have the sober second thought of refusing to prosecute the charge because we pay for the person, the lawyer, that prosecutes the charge in court. So there's that. What we can't control is there are other laws regarding noise, like the criminal code for creating a disturbance or disturbing the peace, that we have no control over, that the RCMP has total discretion over. We don't have that control, but I feel we have a strong amount of control over what's done with this bylaw.
So you said RCMP have been notified of it. How long ago was that?
Oh, probably 2015.
Not a long time ago, okay. Guess that sums it up for me.
Okay. Counselor Connell?
Jesse spoke about exempting. In all the years I've sat here, no one's exempt from this bylaw. Never has been.
Ducks Unlimited.
Ducks
Oh,
Unlimited.
yes.
Just go.
But no one's exempt. If somebody calls in a complaint, it's looked into. If it's a young feller with a stereo going at 3 in the morning down on the river and you can hear it for miles both directions, which I have one, the RCMP show up. Our bylaw officer isn't going out at 3 in the morning. Our bylaw officer is going out in the morning and scheduled hours to look into the complaint. No one has ever been exempted. We did exempt Ducks Unlimited, and what were they doing? They were,
On the river, they were doing a duck count, and
Yeah.
it was like a watercraft that was very loud.
yes. Other than that, no one's ever been exempt, because if a complaint comes in, it's been dealt with. They might look at it and say, no, there's no reason to go any further. But there's never been an exemption given that someone can just make noise.
Thank you.
Can I get,
You got 2 sentences in?
yeah,
2 sentences.
just when I was describing with staff,
The what?
discussing it with staff, sorry. Section 12G, before it was without the word reasonable, it was described to me as an exemption.
That, under their discretion. But they still go up and investigate.
Yes, but it's just to be enforceable would be presumably a lot harder.
What,
Want me to
what,
jump in? So for example, if we get a complaint about a forestry activity and find out it's under a provincial permit, that's exempted under our bylaw. So
I just mean
yes,
bef-
that section is about exempting activities that aren't under our jurisdiction.
But it's never been. If someone complains, our bylaw officer looks into it. If someone calls the RCMP, they have jurisdiction to look into it. There's nothing you can hold up in court and say, I'm exempt.
no.
Never. It's never been. It's, like I said, it's been the policy of, if the RCMP look into it, the RCMP look at most of the noise complaints after hours. And like I say, they're busy, but still, they do look into noise complaints. If you've got someone calling because there's a bunch of cars over in Nicktoll squealing their tires, the RCMP are going to investigate. So there hasn't been, since I've sat here and all the years I've been here, a direct exemption other than the Ducks Unlimited to go out and do their count. And that was twice.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Counselor. Do you have any other questions or comments or discussions or comments? Okay, so let's go back to the motion. It's to give final reading to approve of bylaw 8 noise. First reading having been given on June 17, 2025, moved by Welsh, seconded by Hare. All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Okay. I lost my page. We are on page 77. I would need a counselor to move. Yes, Counselor Welsh.
I move to give final reading to approve bylaw 9, repeal C3 water supply program and C4 clean energy program bylaws. First reading having been given on June 17th, 2025.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Counselor Cranton. Discussion at this time. Comments, questions? Seeing none? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Okay. If you look on page 79 to 89, you have all of council motions tracking lists for April, May, and June. A wonderful thing that we can always check on to see where we're at. And now we will move on to councillor comments. We will start with, oh, did I miss somebody? All right. What time is it? Oh, 2 minutes. Okay, we better not start that. We will take a 2-minute break, and then we will come back to our public hearing. Okay? This one's yours, I didn't find mine.
Yeah, that's fine. So while you're having a bit of a break, just for fun, I found this in a collection of things at home. It's actually an article that was submitted to the Maclean's magazine in 1949, written by our own Ernest Buckler, so I thought it would be fun to share that with you today as we move into the public hearing. So it was, I have no clue where I found it. I do not know, but I thought it would be just timely to share with you that article that he submitted to Maclean's.
Great, thank you so much. I didn't even know that. Perfect. I'm going to have to because it ended up in some foreign land. Here, I'll give you an extra one.
So you understand this process?
Okay. Do I have to do something different?
No, you're just going to do your part here,
Yeah.
take over, and then we're going to pick it up here.
I'm going to read further into here.
This is the part to put your back up, and then you can ask for that, and then I'll wrap it up, and then go back to the regular session. Yeah. You're going to open with this. Go back to it.
No, it's the last one though.
They must have that little fridge cranked right up to it.
No, I keep turning it down.
Somebody keep turning it.
This is the last one. Really does, because it's like, I gotta go to the store.
What's like a store with it? Just sitting on it? $1.2 million when you bought it for like $1.50. And Promise is the county.
So Alyssa-
And you can't take Promises.
We're going to,
Promise.
we are still recording. Excuse me?
Spicer Construction.
We should have we don't.
I know they do a lot of
Listen to your son today. I spoke about your promise.
Oh, anyway.
Buy your
My
property.
wife-
Buy your property. Yeah, I don't want to.
Her brother, her
Okay. At this time, we're going to take a recess from our council meeting and go to the public meeting. The purpose of a public meeting is to permit members of the public to make their views known to council via oral submissions concerning solely the application before council. This public hearing has been called in accordance with Section 15 of the Nova Scotia Heritage Property Act. At the end of the public hearing will be closed and council will return to its regular session of council. Before municipal council agrees to include a property in the Annapolis County Municipal Registry of Heritage Properties, a public hearing is held where the registered property owner is given the opportunity to ask questions of council regarding the heritage registration. The purpose of this public hearing is to discuss heritage registration with the trustees of the All Saints Anglican Church, who are requesting municipal heritage property registration for 3335 West Dalhousie Road, West Dalhousie, PID 05158783, more commonly known as the All Saints Anglican Church. Council also uses this time to explain what heritage registration means and to ensure that the property owner is aware of and in complete agreement with the registration of their property as a municipal heritage property. All questions and comments throughout the public hearing are to be addressed to the chair, which is me. So therefore, now I will pass it over to our staff member, Ms. Bent, to do her presentation.
Thank you. So good morning. In your package, you've received a copy of the staff report that was presented to Planning Advisory Committee back in May. I'm just going to go through some highlights of that as we progress here. So we did receive an application back in April for this particular property, All Saints Anglican Church in West Dalhousie. After staff reviewed the property, it scored an 84 out of a possible 100 points, giving it a priority in the registration process. Established in 1819, the community of West Dalhousie was settled predominantly by disbanded soldiers of the Napoleonic Wars. The community derives its name from George Ramsay, the 9th Earl of Dalhousie, who served as Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia and later as Governor General of British North America. The area was one of several along the old Annapolis Road, a deliberate but ultimately incomplete route intended to connect Halifax and Annapolis Royal through Nova Scotia's interior. Census records from 1838 lists early residents of the area, including families of Ramsay, Durling, Gray, and Anderson, to name but a few, indicating the establishment of a growing community. All Saints Anglican Church property was established by a deed dated 1836 when James and Susan Gray received 5 shillings for a 3-acre parcel of land that the said church shall occupy the exact center of the said lot, to have and to hold the same as and for a site of the church, manse, and school, or other buildings for the celebration of divine worship, according to the rites and ceremonies of the Church of Scotland, and by law established in a place of burial for the parishioners of the said parish of Dalhousie, and to have and to hold that the said intent and purpose. It is believed the original church was built in 1840 and burned down prior to 1898, when the present building, as you see on the screen, was erected on or very near the site of the first building. It is said that part of the foundation and floor system of the original building has been incorporated into the present structure. The church is of Gothic Revival architecture with a steeply pitched gable roof and pointed arched windows and an ocular window. The beauty point of this building itself is the altar window that is made of Tiffany glass that was shipped from New York with an inscription to the glory of God and in memory of Reverend Walter Scott Gray. one can only assume that Reverend Gray was a descendant of James and Susan. Vinyl siding was added in the 1980s as a request of the parishioner who left money to the church to do the work to preserve the present building. A graveyard was established, and one of the earliest headstones is dated 1855 of a Thomas Anderson, one of the founding families of the area. Little has changed on this property since its establishment. It's still nestled among a forest of trees, and it sits proudly overlooking Gibson Lake as it did in the mid-1800s. Gibson Lake was originally known as Clear Lake. Local legend boasts that Clear, or Gibson Lake, was the only lake in the Dalhousie area that was just that, clear. All of the many other lakes in that area are of copper color or tea color. Community ties are strong in the community and was proven during a tragedy that occurred near Gibson Lake on May the 12th of 1903, when two young men who were log driving in a brook nearby, and a young man fell in and his faithful friend tried to save him, but to no avail. Both of these men are buried in the graveyard here. Every time I mention that we are going through this process to anyone Odin in the community, they bring those two young men up. To this day, did you know that they're about Sedum Kelly and the Anderson boy? Yes, I did. So to this day, that is still a story that is told in that community and in outside of the community as well. But last, but certainly not least, it should be noted that Canadian novelist and short story writer Dr. Ernest Buckler is laid to rest in the graveyard. Ern was born in West Dalhousie and grew up nearby. He was known for as two of the most carefully crafted novels in Canadian literature, The Mountain and the Valley in 1952, and if any of you of a certain age, you had to read this in grade 10 English, whether you wanted to or not. And The Cruelest Month was written in 1963. Dr. Ernest Buckler also wrote for Maclean's magazine from 1948 to 51, and he wrote many scripts for CBC radio as well. Therefore, it is evident that this property holds much historic significance to the area and to Annapolis County as a whole. If approved, this property will add to other Anglican church properties in the Registry of Municipal Heritage Property, such as St. John's in Moshel, St. Mark's in Perrott, Christ Church down in Carsdale as well. Again, little has changed in the appearance of the church except for the installation of the vinyl siding. At one point, vinyl siding was a deterrent for registration of heritage properties, but that mindset has changed over the last 20 so years. This property, in fact, was slated to be registered in 2005, but it was denied at that point because of the fact that it had vinyl siding on it. There will be a few minor repairs that they will have to do. The building needs some repainting of the exterior window sashes and door placements, replacements along the front of the building, and they are also looking at some black metal roofing for the structure, and again, to maintain the integrity of the structure. The chimney needs some minor repairs as well. This designation as a municipal heritage property will assist All Saints Anglican Church to be eligible for provincial grants for repairs and restorations. And that is the bulk of my report.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Bent. Okay, at this time, I will be acknowledging the property owners of the All Saints Anglican Church, which is Mr. Bill Gillis.
Yes, we have Bill Gillis.
Nice to have you here. Thank you for coming. Hi. Heritage registration is a legal process enabled through the Provincial Heritage Property Act by which the All Saints Anglican Church property is deemed to be significant to Annapolis County by being identified for its historical and cultural value. The identification process is called registration, which is a legal device that offers protection against substantial alterations or demolition of a registered heritage property. Operationally, then, an encumbrance by way of the notice of registration is placed on the property and registered in the Registry of Deeds. Thus, any substantial change to the exterior of the property of a registered heritage property requires the approval of Annapolis County Municipal Council before any work is done. Do you acknowledge, Mr. Gillis, understand and accept these conditions of municipal heritage registration?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Would you like to speak a little bit about your property?
Well, I think Ms. Bent pretty much covered everything really needs saying on the property, but it's a property that doesn't have power on that highway within 10 kilometers of that property. So therefore, there's no power to it, which makes it a little bit more unique for some things, makes it a little harder for using it for getting events in, but summertime events works well there. To help maintain things. Cemetery, we like to get that fixed up a little bit more than where it is. Some of the stones are in a lean and just attend it to, and in the short order because they're starting to get to the point they're going to fall, some of them. But basically, that's about all I can really say. It's the history of it. It speaks for itself, as you did for us.
She does very well.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to you guys, and a special thanks to Linda for putting as much effort in as she has into helping me get this over and kicking my tail when I need it straightened out on it.
She doesn't have to do that.
And a very special thanks to Reverend Julia Ford for supporting us and helping with whatever she couldn't pushing our way and keep the interest up to other people. And a very special thanks to my wife for making damn sure I'd done exactly what I said I was up to doing.
Well said.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well,
Other than that, I guess I got it pretty well covered, and very much thanks to you.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you, Mr. Gillis. We'll just move on, and I will ask if there were any oral presentations
Thanks, Linda.
from anybody from the floor to speak. Please come on up. State your name.
I'm the Reverend Julia Ford. I'm the incumbent / priest in charge of the parish of Annapolis, which includes All Saints Gibson Lake, St. Mark's Broad, St. John's Moshel, Christ Church, and St. Luke's in Time. So we're very familiar with the registration process. Bill has done an amazing job. A year ago, I walked into that church and went, uh-oh. But it's been cleaned. The floor no longer goes like this. It's like this. Bill has done an amazing job. And we have in a congregation at St. Luke's a descendant of the Anderson family. And there's more scattered around, and they are all very keen to make sure that this church continues as is. They don't want to see it changed in any way, shape, or form, maintained and kept whole. We do have insurance on it, all that good stuff, so if it, heaven forbid, burns down, we can take care of that, but there are no plans whatsoever to change it, so. And it's much beloved within the parish.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Are there any others from the audience that would like to come up? No? Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the councilors? Councilor Longmire?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bent, for this opportunity today, and thank you for joining us and sharing. The magnificent photo up here is just something outstanding. I hear the passion behind the desire to make it a registered entity. preserving the memories and history and continuing with the legacy is so important, not only for those who are still here walking this earth, but for all those who have been buried and were part of this magnificent space.
Still have one service a year there.
Yes, and I was going to ask, yes, that's lovely to hear. It would be lovely to join, yes, in on that.
September 14th at 3 p.m.
Thank you, thank you. We'll write that down. Having no power, not an issue. There's lots of sunshine during great months of the summer, the spring and summer and early fall, so that's lovely to hear. I'm intrigued about that Tiffany glass window. Would love, and I'll make a point to go out and see that. It just sounds spectacular. I'm glad to hear about the insurance. These are the things that often challenge different persons, whether they can secure insurance to be able to go through with if there were necessary needs for the building. You're going to benefit from the province with being able to seek financial support. And I'm glad, after hearing that in 2005 that it had been denied, I'm glad to know that regardless of making certain changes that were necessary based on, longevity of, this exterior, the siding, a moot point, a steel roof in the future, it is the future, right? So, so well done, and I'm just thrilled to sit here and see this today.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Pan.
Thank you. Any other comments from any of the other councillors? Councillor Agambar?
Just a very quick note, thank you. First time I ever saw this church was when my children, my kids, I guess 30-some years ago, attended the Anglican church camp there, and they all did. And when they come around that corner and you see this really, like, in the wilderness, it's just a beautiful, beautiful sight, and it kind of brought back those memories when I was on the campaign trail, because this is in my district. So there were several times I had an opportunity. I had lunch there one day, and a little bit of a break, but I'm really pleased to see that this has come forward, and it's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councillor Harding?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say I actually was speaking about this registration with a gentleman that I've known for many, many years, and he actually grew up in that area, and he was extremely happy to hear that this was up for municipal registration. He said that this building and this site is a focal point of that area, and it's an amazing spot that a lot of people don't know about, and he was very supportive of it, and he wanted me to know that it was an important place and a beautiful place, and so I was very glad to hear that. That's it.
Thank you so much. Is there any other comments from any other councillors? I see that Mr. Gillis, you would like to say something to us?
I'd like to ask that gentleman.
Councillor
You was the one
Harding?
speaking? Would that have been Mr. Simmons you were speaking of?
No, it was a Glenn.
Glenn. Why I say that, Mr. Simmons lived on the number 8. He used to run a road grader through there and take care. He stopped, he had a broken window, sat there and have his lunch on the step. And he made a point to call me one time. We're in the middle of this. And he was awful happy here. It was not going to be tore down like his was on the number 8. And if he's an old gentleman, he said, I don't know if I can make it this year at the old home. He said, there's definitely going to be something in the envelope you can count on. So I was wondering if that's the same gentleman you mentioned.
Different gentleman, but there's a lot of people that hold that site close.
And this there is Butler Book. I was out a couple of days ago doing some work around there. A gentleman from Yarmouth come in and got a hold of one of them books. And he's reading it, and he wanted to come in and find the tombstone for himself. He found out where Butler's actual home was. So it's still bringing in history.
It certainly is. Thank you very much, Mr. Gillis. Any other councillors who would like to make comments or ask questions? Well, I would like to say, looking at that picture, it's just a majestic setting for such a beautiful church. And I'm sure that with the history behind it, you're going to have a lot of people coming in to visit. Yes. And, okay, so I will move on to our next steps, which go to you, Madame Bent, on what is going to happen.
All right. So the usual process for this type of application, when this public hearing is complete, council will add an item to their agenda, and if affirmative, would make a motion to include All Saints Anglican Church property in the Annapolis County Municipal Registry of Heritage Properties, and we will deposit a notice of registration in the Registry of Deeds. The notice of registration will provide the description of the property, and that the building is not to be demolished or the exterior altered without municipal approval as part of the review of the Planning Advisory Committee will make a recommendation. Council may grant or refuse or attach conditions to the demolition or substantial alterations. Substantial penalty may be sought, and the municipality has the right to apply to the court to ask for a fine and reinstatement in the event that an alteration is carried out that contravenes the registration. So if the vote is affirmative, we will begin planning a plaque unveiling ceremony. We have a vision of when we would like to hold that, if possible this year. If not, we may have to do it next year, depending. But we are hoping that if the plaque registration goes through, that we will try to align it with their one church service that they hold in September, to try to help make it a more meaningful service.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, so this concludes the business that we have from the public hearing. So I declare this meeting adjourned. And then we will return to our normal council meeting. I'll give that to you. And I will ask that Councillor Aguilar, I believe you have a motion there to read.
I do.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to amend the order of the day by adding municipal heritage registration application for PID 05158783, All Saints Anglican Church, West Dalhousie, as 6.5 under new business.
I need a seconder for that motion. Councillor Parsons Salzman. Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Thank you very much. Okay, so now, we are at 6.5, so we gotta go back up. Okay, so we are now at that 6.5 mark. So Councillor Aguilar, would you read the second motion?
I will, thank you. I move that municipal council include the All Saints Anglican Church property, PID 05158783, being the portion 255 feet by 210 feet in the Annapolis County Municipal Registry of Heritage Properties, and deposit a notice of registration in the Registry of Deeds, providing that it not be demolished or the exterior altered without municipal approval as part of that review. The Planning Advisory Committee is required to be consulted, and council may grant or refuse or attach conditions to the demolition or substantial alteration.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Councillor Welsh. Are there any comments or discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes?
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Finish this off, correct? Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So we will continue moving on to our council business. We are at council comments.
Just gonna put my jacket on. One moment.
Okay, no problem. You're gonna chill.
Gotta chill.
Okay.
Greetings from District 1. Just like to give a shout out, Melbourne Day, or Canada Day at the Melbourne Square Hall was a success. I'd like to thank all the volunteers that helped out. The Kingston Fire Department, they have been providing the tanker for our water slide for many years. And the kids just have a blast this year. We didn't run out of water and we didn't run out of soap. They sent a big tanker. And TRA Middleton, they donated the drinks for our event. I also like to encourage, a big highlight of the summer for my family is our local exhibitions. Annapolis Valley Exhibition is coming up August 11th to the 16th, 4-H Day being August the 10th. All the members of Annapolis County 4-H come out and they compete, show their animals, do their life skills projects. Some competitions go on, and tug of war, of course. And then the Digby County I always want to call it the Bear River Exhibition, is August 23rd. So yeah, if you get an opportunity, support your local events and get out.
Thank you very much. District 2.
Hello from District 2. I'd like to start by advertising, as always, the breakfasts going on at the Port George Rec Center the first Sunday of the month, and Margarettsville Fire Hall the first Saturday of the month. I hope I got those 2 days right. As well as Friday, July 26th, from 6 to 8 p.m. There'll be music with Happy Anywhere at Spur Brothers Farm Market. So get out for some live music, as well as Friday, on the same day, July 25th, 8 p.m., Tara McLean performs at Evergreen Theatre, PEI singer-songwriter. So get out and have a look at that. And I'd also like to invite anybody to come and cheer me on. I hope to be entering myself into the Annapolis Valley Exhibition for the ATV competition. So.
Okay, we'll be looking at that.
I made their cover for their booklet one time. Not the front cover, but cover for the ATV competition. So try again for that.
Are you going to do the Fireman competition?
I might.
You would hope. Thank you very much, Councillor. We'll be looking forward to that. District 3 is Deputy Warden, and he is excused for the day. So District 4.
Greetings from District 4. I've been very busy over the last few weeks with a number of events in the various communities in my district. All of the halls and the community facilities, ball field and around Hill, they've all started, they've ramped up and they're open for the season, and they're all having their events. But I want to draw attention to 2 of the events that I had. 2 really stood out more than the others, and one was the annual Strawberry Supper at the Tupperville Community Hall that we just had. I cannot recall the last time I attended a function at a hall that was as jam-packed as that particular hall. It went from 5 to 7, and this was their 70th year of having that particular supper around that time frame. And I got there at 5. It was probably 45 minutes to get in because the lineup was right out through the door, and people had said that members of the community had showed up at 4 p.m. an hour before to make sure that they would get in. It was just a steady flow. When I left at 6:45, there were still people going in. So I was really impressed with how well that came together. So I want to give the Tupperville Community Hall a special shout out for that event. And similarly, Canada Day celebration at Granville Ferry Community Hall. I've been to a number of events at their hall, and I knew the discussion they had. They took a break last year from holding an event because a few people were going to be away, so they heard about it. They weren't the ones that were still in town weren't happy about it, so they did it this year, and they went for like a supper time, kind of 6 o'clock after things away. And what was memorable about that was it was outside, but just again, probably 100, 150 people from that one little tight-knit community. They were all there in red and white Canada Day sing stuff, so it was really kind of proud, those 2 events, to see just how close these communities are. So That being said, keep an eye out on social media and in the community events guides for all the other halls, Granville Center Community Hall, the Acadian Center and the Acadian Culture Center in Belle Isle, the Round Hill Community Hall and Michelle Community Hall. They all have events coming up. Just kind of a public service announcement. Just hope everybody in this heat to be careful. We're in the middle of a heat wave, and I kind of got thinking about it. I've signed up for Alertable, and if you haven't signed up for Alertable yet, I know there's information here on how to do it, but it even gives the heat wave warning. So sometimes when you're out in the yard and you're tempted to say, well, I'll just finish this and this, and then twice in the last little while my phone dinged, and it was enough for me to think to myself, you know what? Go cool off somewhere. It's too hot to be out. So
Time to take a break.
Yeah, time to take a break. So.
Don't you have a new pool?
Yeah.
When's the pool party?
Good call. And with Natal Day coming up, that's in the area, and some of the big social events. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy, if you have a pool, enjoy one, but enjoy the barbecues. But also be responsible. It is a little concerning to see some of the reports coming up related to impaired driving, so I just take this time to remind people, go out, enjoy yourself, have some fun this summer, but please be responsible. And finally, I wish good luck to Councillor Hare and his ATV competition.
Uh-oh. You know what happened, yes, exactly. The pressure is mounting. Thank you, Councillor. District 5.
All right, thank you, and still good morning to District 5 and to everyone in our county. So the summer, action-packed on both sides of the North Mountain. If you're traveling down the Granville Road, Port Royal Lighthouse, gosh, stop in, just take a few moments to take in the spectacular view of the Annapolis River and this beautiful lighthouse that the community has taken such time and commitment in restoring. And of course, this is a beautiful season to do so. Crow's Nest in Hillsburn, of course, great seafood, and has received an award for being in the top 100 restaurants for the best seafood. So that was a wonderful award to hear about. From campgrounds to RV grounds and Airbnbs, tenting, all the way from DeLapse Cove, all the way around in this district of District 5. You know, there's beautiful spaces and places to stay. DeLapse Cove has a magnificent wilderness walk that we're so proud of, so I encourage people to get out and see that during really great weather. Take your water, though. Make sure, because there's no... and, you know, these Airbnbs, these places to stay and visit in our county are owned and run by small business owners, and they take pride in being part of and offering these places for people to stay so that they can enjoy all the different things around us. So I thank them. As always, I thank volunteers. This time of the year, as Halls, as Councillor Cranton has said, you know, our volunteers are what keep us alive in our communities. I was able to participate, and I will point this out, I participated in, and thank you, Warden, with the Pride Parade, and I was joined with, or I joined Miss Ryan in doing that, and we took the banner, and we were proud to be part of this gathering of people and to show the county's support, so I thank you, Warden, for giving that opportunity to do so. Let me see, I have down in one of my halls this weekend, so the 20th, July 19th, 11 to 2, at the Port Wade Hall, also known as New Horizon Hall. So they've kind of been a little bit closed, now opening up more, and have applied for grants and been successful in doing some renovations, just like we're seeing around our county. So proud of them. So 11 to 2, there'll be barbecue, 50/50 tickets, lobster tickets, 10-pound lobster, $2 each for tickets and 3 for 5. If you're traveling down that neck of the woods, if you want to take a travel down, all the way down Granville Road to Victoria Beach, it's absolutely outstanding to look out onto the river and the quaint communities. They're absolutely precious. Parker Mountain Road is closed, as we all know, and Learnable, which I promote all the time, is a great way to learn about things that are changing around us, weather and roads and construction and such. So, a great way to stay connected. Yes, it's digital, but there are other, ways in which we can each connect with others, and that can be by being a good neighbor. So informing if you know that someone might not know. Bayside Farms as well, over home on my side of the North Shore, is a lovely farm that promotes the seasonal fruits and vegetables and no spray. So you can feel good about that. Let me see. I don't want to forget anything, and I'm probably going to. If I have, and I've promised anyone that I was going to say something, I will apologize in advance for that. I just ask that everybody be patient with the Parker Mountain Road. It kind of was a little bit of a glitchy thing, but I think we've worked through it, and some of the dirt roads are being chlorided, which is wonderful to see because we're extremely dry right now, and the dust and the rocks, as campers and trailers and RVs are, coming down that road. We've already got a very busy road in Lower Granville with the work on the dike land. So I ask, be mindful of bicyclists, because we've got bicycle groups that come and stay in Airbnbs and such. And so they're on our roads. Let's be mindful of children walking and playing. School is out, right, and the fun begins. I wish everyone a wonderful summer. August tends to be council's break, and but always, my email's always there, and my telephone can always ring, and I'll return messages, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. District 6.
Thank you, Warden. I'd like to extend greetings from District 6 with thanks to all those that continue to reach out with their thoughts, questions, and ideas. We're seeing some exciting new businesses opening their doors in the area, well worth checking out and supporting. What I'd like to mention is the Flying Mermaid Yoga now has its own dedicated yoga studio space led by the county's own Heather Cairns Hudson. The studio offers inclusive classes for all levels and ages, creating a welcoming space for movement, mindfulness, and community. In Cornwallis Park, the new 2 thrift store at 116 Atlantic Drive is now open and ready to welcome you. Their hours are Wednesday and Thursday from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., Friday until 6 p.m., and Saturday until 3 p.m. While they're still trying to get fully set up, they're already a great spot to use some gently used. They're already a great spot to find some gently used treasures, and they're grateful to accept donations. The Clemensport Legion recently celebrated a special moment as Paul Law was represented with his blanket of honor, a heartfelt recognition of his service. The Legion continues to be a cornerstone of the community. Don't miss their famous summer Friday night barbecues for great food and friendly faces. Summer's in full swing, and there's still some great ways for kids in District 6 and the county to stay active, creative, and connected during the break. One of the exciting opportunities is the Dance Theatre Camp for Youth at King's Theatre, happening July 21st and 22nd, led by the talented Wendy Gowdy. Another important update is I've seen a sold sign is now up at the properties previously owned by ABDS. These lands, particularly in the north side of Highway 1 around Cornwallis Park, represents both the end of a long period of uncertainty and the beginning of new possibilities. I will remain actively engaged, ensuring that the community voices are heard and long-term benefits remain a priority. Finally, I want to thank all the volunteers, event organizations, and small business owners whose work keeps District 6 strong and thriving. Your efforts are the backbone of our community spirit. As always, I welcome your ideas, questions, and involvement as we continue to move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. So District 7.
Thank you very much. Well, greetings from District 7. School's out. Summer is officially here, and with all the great summer events that have been kicking off with gusto. Starting with Canada Day, of course. I was happy to attend the Canada Day ceremony at Bridgetown's Jubilee Park. In spite of the threatening rain, the annual activities and fun went off well, culminating with, of course, the fireworks extravaganza, which is always spectacular and enjoyed by everyone. And we were privileged to have the warden there as well to cut the ceremonial cake and hand out the 200 cupcakes to everybody that was there. So it was a great event.
That was fun.
Bridgetown's other big annual event, of course, was the Riverfest, which took place just this past weekend. It was a huge success, and it was a very successful fundraiser for CARP, which is Clean Annapolis River Project, with many information booths, food vendors, live music, and of course the ever exciting Dragon Boat races, which featured 13 teams this year. And out of that 13 teams, there was almost, I think the number was over 370 paddlers, of which, of course, the county had an excellent participation team in there as well. Congratulations to the county for that, and for all the other boats that were there as well. It's become a really big event, and people come, I don't know, I could say there was 1,000 people there. There might have been 2. But it was a huge event, and it just keeps growing every year. And it brings people to the county and supports all the local businesses as well, and hotels and motels. So it's a really great event. This year the weather cooperated, helping to make the day a wonderful success. And thanks again to the hundreds of volunteers and participants that made it possible. The annual Sioux Festival, Save Our Old Growth Forest, will be taking place in August the 23rd, again at the West Dalhousie Community Center. And this is a big event as well, featuring several different bands that will be playing all day long, and all kinds of events that are happening as well. And it's just a fun day, and I would encourage everybody or anybody to go. I was also privileged to speak on behalf of the county at the Annapolis Royal Pride Weekend Festival in Annapolis Royal during the flag raising ceremony. This is a major event that brings together and supports inclusivity for all here in Annapolis County, and I was proud to take part in that and support that. I just have a brief update from the ACOS Sports Hub in Bridgetown. So they would like to thank the county again for the fence and the tennis and pickleball courts. Unfortunately, the Jenna F. Martin Evans Clinic has to be canceled this year, and Jenna's actually suffered a fairly serious knee injury, so she won't be able to be here for that. There will be a 3-day youth soccer tournament in early August. And the lines on the parking lot have now been redone. So I hope I've included everybody, and if I've excluded you, then I apologize for that, but things are busy, and we're happy to be part of it as a county. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. District 8.
Good morning from District 8. Hope everyone's having a good summer so far. Keeping busy. I had the pleasure of attending the Canada Day barbecue at Milford Hall. It was a great community event, fantastic barbecue, tons of stuff for the kids to do. We had a giant Canada Day cake, and we all went outside and sang "Oh Canada," which was great. And it was all offered by free will donation, which was excellent. Great, and they had burgers and hot dogs and everything. So just want to say thanks to all the volunteers that put that on for everybody. It's good for everyone in the community. And I wanted to make a quick mention that the Milford Hall has their 50th anniversary coming up, so they're going to be having a celebration with information on the history of the hall and the area, and that's going to be on July 19th at 2 p.m. And of course everyone is welcome, and there will be some light refreshments there as well. I did the Bear River Firefighters Breakfast with my family on July 5th. It was a great chance to catch up with some folks in the community, and when I was up getting my breakfast, I saw Mike Hall from Rust Brothers was in the kitchen chatting with everybody. So it was kind of neat to see him, and he was taking pictures with everyone, so that was kind of nice to see him out and about. It's a good support of the area. And the firefighters down there put on this breakfast first Saturday of every month, and I always encourage folks to check it out because it's great. My kids are always want to go, every month. They always want to go for the pancakes. Just a great breakfast. Also, the Bear River firefighters will be having a fundraiser at Foresters Hall in Clemensville. That's coming up, that's going to be July 17th at 7 p.m. So that's a really great way to show support for people that are always there to support us in the communities. Last night, I was invited out to Maitland Bridge Hall, which is just a little bit further down the road, for their AGM. And their previous chairperson actually invited me to chair the meeting because they were electing a new board. So it was an honor to do that for them and see their new board of volunteers elected, board of directors. They've got a few new people in there kind of taking over. So it's going to be a really good thing for them. And it's a great hall and a great community that they run out there. And that's a real hub for the community out there at Maitland Bridge. And when I pulled up, it was really nice to see they have the county flag flying off their flagpole too, which was really nice to see. So they're a great community out there. And lastly, I would just like to take a moment to recognize the tragic loss of Brian and Judy Trimper, who passed away in a motorcycle accident at the beginning of the month. And I just wanted to say on behalf of my family, I extend our heartfelt condolences to their loved ones, and I just want to say our thoughts and prayers are with them during this really difficult time. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. District 9.
Greetings from District 9. It's been an incredibly busy month filled with so many events, providing a fantastic opportunity for me to meet even more residents of our county. I encourage everyone to take full advantage of the local activities and events that are being offered, many of which are organized by hardworking volunteers who dedicate their time and effort to make our community vibrant and engaging. Coming up this week, Thursday at Felker Hall in Cornwallis Park, Let's Talk Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. That's taking place at 6:30. It's really important for our residents to become engaged in topics that are as important to us as these. I attended one a couple of weeks ago, and it was very interesting, and it gives you a whole different perspective and insight into these matters. Coming up this week as well in our playground in the Lorcon subdivision in Nicktaw, we're having a barbecue between 4 and 6 at the playground, so everyone is welcome and the kids can check out all the new items that we have in the playground. It's fully accessible. And what else do I have here? That's it for me, and I look forward to seeing many of you at these events and hope you have a fantastic time participating.
Thank you very much, Councillor. District 10.
Good day and greetings from District 10. Well, I can say Canada today, I worked all day. So I didn't get out too much. So, but it was all right. I enjoy working. I'm glad to see the Recreation Department going over different areas of our county. I had people actually say to me that they enjoyed the fact is that the county's getting out and about in the rural communities. And I know at Port George Hall that they were there, I think, and they really enjoyed having them there. So it's good to see, and I think they were in Springfield too, so I know they're planning on different events across our rural community, so it is nice to see that we're looking at our whole county. It's been a very busy month. Being on the CAO recruitment committee was added more meetings, but meaningful meetings, so it was a good opportunity. Lawrencetown meeting was last night, the village meeting, and lo and behold, when I looked up, our municipal advisor walked in. So we had a good chat with him, and he's been busy, and seem very up-to-date on what's happening in Annapolis County, so it was good to see. Also, I attended the 100 years of 4-H in Clarence. Several of us counselors were there. There's a lot put into the 4-H program. Over the years, I've been 100% supportive of them. I was a the woodsman leader at one time, and my daughter also was in 4-H most of her junior years and right up till she got out of school. So 4-H has been part of my life and soul, so I really support the 4-H program, and it sure shows with the public speaking. Phenomenal speakers through 4-H. My interest mostly is to take my old truck and go to car shows, so I don't get out as much as I should, but I do enjoy taking it. There is still quite a following for muscle cars and antique cars. I went to the Digby Lobster Fest, and Mike Hall was there, and they had about 300 to 350 cars there, and that's the biggest they've ever been, about 100 more cars than they normally have. This weekend coming is the big Yarmouth Car Show, and but it draws people from all over, in New Brunswick, Maine. When you go to these car shows, it's phenomenal, the people that go long distances to go to them. And when I went to Springfield on Sunday, I took my old truck for a drive, took the Flyers, the Bridgetown Reader out to the store. I met several old vehicles coming out, and then realized that Kingston Steer Barbecue was having a car show, so it was good to see. And so I hope everyone enjoys the month of August. There's phenomenal things going on in our county. You can't get to them all, so enjoy what you can, and greetings from District 10.
Thank you, Councillor. For District 11, I have one thing that's happening at the Three Rivers Community Center. It's on Saturday, July 19th at 11 o'clock at the Three Rivers Community Center in Torbic Mines, where there will be a fundraising event for the Gillis family who tragically lost their family home in a fire on June 25th. It appears that there are quite a few different types of accidents, that it be car accidents, or that it be house fires, or that whatever it is, there seems to be a lot that have been happening lately. So I hope that everybody's taking very good care on the roads and everywhere, and especially watching the young kids, because sometimes they don't think, they just bolt. And it's because they're children. So let's take care of that. As far as the events, we have a good start here of what is going to be happening in our county. Everything is busy, everybody has something to do, or special celebrations that are happening. And so I want you to make sure that we all look and see if we can make it out. And one of the things is our community events guide is certainly one of the things that is a good place to go check out what is happening, and there's lots more. So thank you for that. So I am hoping for everybody to have a great, safe, healthy summer. All right, so now we have completed the councilor's comments, and here it is. And the next thing that we have is an in-camera. We would go in camera with section 22.2A, acquisition, sale, lease, and security of municipal property, and section 22.2E, contract negotiations of the Municipal Government Act. So, okay, and we have a motion for camera, and the second, that's the seconder? Are you the motioner?
Motioner.
Okay. Seconder? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay.